what's happening on the Voice America Talk Radio Network. Find out about new shows, featured guests, and what's up this week. Find us on Facebook by searching keyword Voice America.
I can see you, Terry, your video.
Good.
The following
That's
program
okay.
is being brought to you on the Voice America Business Channel. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit voiceamericabusiness.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
There are entrepreneurs that are making so much more than profit in their enterprises. They are creating businesses that really add value to others, and so can you. Welcome to Be More, Achieve More, Inspiration for the Entrepreneurial Mind with Chris Cooper. If you're looking for ways to develop your entrepreneurial spirit while you contribute to a better world, you'll want to stay tuned for the next hour. Now, here's your host, Chris Cooper.
Hello, this is Chris Cooper, and I'm delighted to be back on air again with a very special show today with a guest, Terry Brock. What we're actually doing today is that we are talking live. I'm talking with Terry. He's based in Orlando, Florida. I'm in the United Kingdom. And what Terry is doing, he's pushing the boundaries of technology today, and he's actually going to record this interview so we can actually see it. So people will be able to gain access to this in a week or two's time and be able to actually see us. And that will enable Terry to do some demonstration. It'll also enable you to actually see us and probably hear some of the banter during the breaks and maybe find out some additional nuggets and gems from Terry. So, relationship marketing. Well, I don't know about yourself, and you may experience this, but when you're marketing and using things like social media, I find it very challenging in terms of using it efficiently, effectively, and also authentically. I don't know about yourself, but I could actually spend my whole week doing social media things, Twittering and Facebooking and and linking in and sending newsletters and actually not do any work. So I thought this was a really, really important subject. So I wanted a real world expert on this to talk with us. And I found the man. I saw Terry Brock speaking at a conference back in October of last year. And he spoke on 2 days of the 3, actually. And for me, it was the highlight of the event. And I came away having listened to Terry with some really good ideas, and I've implemented some of those into my business. They were the golden nuggets for me from those 3 days. Now, Terry is a speaker. He's also a marketing expert. He's been a journalist since 1995. He's advised companies since 1983. And I mean top companies. Companies that are at the forefront of technology go to Terry for guidance. He's the editor-in-chief of AT&T's blog. He works with Microsoft. He's worked with Skype. He's worked with many different organizations. But the thing that he does, I think, which is quite special, is he's talking about marketing, but also technology, which sometimes is a little bit geeky. But he's not introverted. He's very engaging. He's extroverted. He brings a lot of humor as well, which I think really helps it hit home. So today we're going to talk about relationship marketing. I know he calls it RCommerce. So I'd just like to welcome to the show, Terry Brock.
Chris, thank you very much. Great to be with you today.
You're welcome. Absolute pleasure to have you, Terry, and to be doing something which I think is so unique with this video experience. So excited to see how this works out. So welcome. I think what we should start with, Terry, is maybe you could share with us from your perspective, what is relationship marketing and, how can it help your business? And I know for you as well, you're also concerned about how it can help people with their lives. So Maybe we could start there.
Oh, yeah. Well, relationship marketing is what business has been about from the beginning. It's a matter of not just doing a transaction. There's a piece of that and a place for that in business. But relationships are really what drives long-term business and profitable business. It means that people are working together for their mutual benefit. It's value for value. You don't just look at someone as a transaction, but more of a partner, someone that you're working with to achieve some mutually beneficial goals. I like to call it, when I say in my book, it's not about the e-commerce and all the electronics. It's really about RCommerce, relationships, building those relationships, and where you can look at the opportunities that are there for both of you. You are able to establish those relationships, then build them, and then here's the key, Chris, maintaining those relationships and making sure that you stay in touch with people. And the only way you really do that is to continue to meet their needs. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing of the free market system that as you meet the needs of others, you will be able to stay in business. If you don't, then the free market has a way of saying, adios, you're out of here. We don't need you around anymore if you're not meeting the needs of others. So I think that's really what relationship marketing is all about. It's helping others and making sure you have value for value, mutually beneficial relationships.
Excellent. So from your perspective in your work then, is that broader than just doing it online?
Oh yeah, I think the online is just really an extension of us as people. And I think right now we're seeing a beautiful time in history where it's really a blend. Think back, maybe a few thousand years ago in the bazaars, the Middle East, people were dealing with each other. They had relationship marketing. They had RCommerce. They knew each other. If they liked, if you had a good price on the rug, I might buy the rug from you. If it's not, we haggle a little bit. We're talking, if I don't think you're good or we had a bad experience before, we might say, I'm not going to deal with that guy. He did such and such. Well, we are taking that now into the online world. And I think that we're going to very soon say, well, it really doesn't matter. And how you deal with someone, whether it's offline or online, or as we like to say, IRL, in real life. In real life, dealing with someone and interfacing with them. When you're doing it online, it's just that now online makes it so that we're connected globally. I mean, think about it. You're in the UK right now. I'm over here in Orlando, Florida, in the United States. We're getting the wonderful engineering expertise from folks out in Phoenix, and here it really doesn't matter. It's like we were all in the same room. And the beautiful thing is we're using Skype right now. And Chris, I want you to know, I'm going to go ahead and pay for this Skype call myself. How's that? Since it doesn't cost anything.
Very generous of you.
I know. I thought I'd throw that in there just for you because you're such a nice guy. But the thing is, here we're able to do this, and we're able to get the video. Like right now, those of us that are listening and watching this on video will be able to see what's going on. If you're listening to this right now, listener, as on the audio side, you're going, wow, that's nice. Well, we'll have the video available for you. We're recording it right now. It's not available live video, not yet, but we're doing that. We're recording it so you can have it. And what we want you to do as listeners is to think, okay, if this is possible, what can we do in business, in our situation, where we could tap into the brain power of 2, 3, 4 people that are scattered in different places geographically and be able to bring even more value to customers, to clients. So as we go through this and we talk about it, as you're listening to this program here on Voice America, think about how you could take this technology and with a little bit of a twist, use it in what you're doing already.
Absolutely. I guess it's about all the time with technological change where we're able to keep pushing the boundaries, aren't we, because of the speed of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the nice thing about that, too, is that we keep pushing the boundaries, and sometimes we've got to take risk. A lot of times people don't want to do that. We're only going to operate when it's safe. We don't want anything risky, as if risky were a bad word. No, risk within the right parameters, wise, calculated risks are important. Are we going to always win? No. Sometimes it'll fall down. You and I know, Chris, if you don't mind me sharing this with the folks, we tried this. We tested it before so that we could make sure, hey, everything's working just right. And we actually had one little glitch where it fell off, but no problem. What do you do if you fall off the horse? You get right back on. That's the key, and that's what we have to do, and that's the mindset we have to take with technology.
Absolutely, yeah. I actually had a guest last week on the show who's partly a magician, and after my introduction, he disappeared. He wasn't there at all.
That's a good magic act.
It was brilliant. But I just think it's amazing, Terry, when, I don't know what it was like for you as a child, but when I was a child or young, even making an international phone call was a big thing, and now, look where we are.
Oh, yeah. Think about the amazing part of it. I mean, just to make a call in the United States where I grew up, we'd make a call and it was like long distance. Everyone snaps to attention. Ooh, better take this one. It's long distance. Now, long distance is really not a big deal. Long distance, we might consider a call to Mars, literally Mars, and the Mars Explorer that's rolling around on the planet Mars. But to make a call to the UK, not that big a deal. And when we're using Skype and using Skype video, I mean, right now, Chris, you're coming through brilliantly. Your video looks good. We can see you. We're able to hear you. How's my video coming through for you?
Yeah, no, looking great.
And so I see the application of this, again, for our listeners right now here on Voice America. There's a lot of opportunities where you can tap into experts that can bring a lot of good to your target market. If you're in, say, chiropractic, maybe you're a chiropractor, you could talk to others who have done certain adjustments. If you're looking at gardening, you might find experts on particular areas of gardening, or whatever it is. Use your imagination. These are the kind of things that can really help you turbocharge your business and take it far beyond what you even dreamed possible just a little while ago. And a beautiful thing about it, again, it's free. So I think it's, Chris, is free in the budget for you?
Free sounds good.
Yeah,
free sounds good. Yes. So let's move on to social media, because it really is, you know, a buzzword these days. It's, you know, everybody is talking about social media. What to you is social media, and how is it important when it comes to relationship marketing?
I see social media as just really a natural outgrowth of relationship marketing. It's the key word there is social. It's social media, people connecting as people. I just got off the phone talking with one of our authors. As you mentioned, I'm the editor-in-chief now for AT&T's blog. They have a very large business blog, networking exchange blog. They asked me to come in and be editor-in-chief of this. And just before our call, I was talking to a person who's in charge of the SEO, that search engine optimization, and search engine marketing, and how all of that fits together. It is critical today that customers are able to connect with the company. And that's one thing AT&T is doing. Lots of companies doing it. She was telling me a way right now, for instance, on Facebook, you can go on Facebook to the page that Pizza Hut has and order your pizza through Facebook. You can connect with people that way. If you have a bad experience, you immediately can get in touch with them. Here in the United States, we have like Delta Airlines. I fly Delta a lot, and I know that British Airways, others are doing the same thing, whereas instead of contacting a very large company, you get to know an actual person, so that if you have a problem, they're on it. They've got people dedicated to taking care of that. And really what is happening is corporations realize they have to change. They can't be this large behemoth of a corporation that is nameless, that we kind of tend to go, I don't care for. Rather, it needs to transform itself into real human beings, which they are at their core anyway. Real human beings where you can talk and you can say, I had a problem with this flight, or I had a problem with my widget. Can you help me on that? And a real person says, oh, really? Well, Terry, let's see what we can do about that. Oh, yeah, here it is in our records. You've got a red widget. You bought it on such and such day. We can send you a new one overnight. Or if you'd prefer a blue widget, we have one of those too. Which one would you like? And they're helping me as real human beings. Social media becomes a real critical way to stay in touch with people, a way to do it rapidly through tools like Twitter, or get a little more in-depth with video, with the audio, and with a little more text using Facebook, and then with a strong business slant using LinkedIn. That gives us the ability to connect with people for real serious business applications. And let's not forget, the #2 search engine in the world is not Yahoo. #1, of course, is Google. #2, YouTube. And YouTube is now stronger than ever. We're getting somewhere around 48 hours of video every second uploaded to YouTube. It is huge. By the end of this year, 2012, as we're recording this, 50% of traffic on the net will be video. It is huge. And for listeners that are in business, you're looking at this and you're wondering, is there an opportunity? Yeah, there is. And to use video for business, something I'm talking about regularly in my programs, in my coaching program, and I'm showing how to do it, I would encourage them strongly to get into video and look at what's possible with that.
Wow, that's really, really good advice. I know also you describe social media as being like the new cold calling.
Yeah.
So should we stop cold calling people on the phone? I mean, what's...
I think so. Actually, that's from a book called Social Boom by my buddy Jeffrey Gitomer. And he is very well known in sales, does a lot with that. And he says that social media is the new cold calling. Because when you think about it, Chris, right now, we've got an advantage over salespeople that did years before. Years ago, you'd go out and you'd call on someone, you sit down and say, well, tell me a little bit about your company and what your company does. That was a good question to ask if you're in the 1960s, 1950s, etc., because it showed, hey, you're interested. You ask that question today, they have a right to throw you out of the office, meaning that you're completely out of sync. You should have already done that online. You should go into their website, of course. If you're going to go to a ABC company, you're making a sales call, go online, find out what they're doing, and then go deeper than that. Find out who it is you're talking to. Find out who it is that are important people at that company, and look at their LinkedIn profile. Look at what's available for them on Twitter, on Facebook, all of these areas in social media. Go on YouTube and do a name search on their name. You've got to do your homework today. And so that's how we do the cold calling. If you go out and just say, hi, I'm in the neighborhood, I'm selling vacuum cleaners, you want to buy one? They should slam the door in your face today, because you need to do your homework and find out about those people. And the way to do it, social media.
I guess also that those people, if they're looking for you and your services, they're going to be doing the same thing. So I guess the key is that you make sure that you've got a good LinkedIn profile.
Oh, yeah.
You make sure you've got a good Facebook presence.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. You want to make sure you have a good profile. Go in there and tweak it. Get people to go out and do some searches on Google. Remember Google? They used to be around. Yeah, go out on Google, look around there and say, what makes a good LinkedIn profile? LinkedIn profile, Facebook profile. Do searches like that, and you'll see a lot of information that'll come back, and read what's there and then build that into your own. Make sure it's there. And then, by the way, here's another one. It's very important. I'm seeing this now. When I was with Skype, just last year, I was the chief enterprise blogger for Skype, and I looked at the kind of things we were doing, what we were doing there, and now with AT&T, we're doing that as well. Behind the scenes, what they're looking at is they want to find out what your clout score is. That's wow. K-L-O-U-T. They're sitting down and evaluating, do we want to work with this vendor? Do we want to work with this speaker? What is their clout score?
Fantastic. Well, let's find out a little bit more about that after the commercial break.
Sounds good.
And clear. Minute and a half break. Sounding good.
Fantastic.
So all right. Audio coming through okay?
Absolutely fine from my perspective. I'm going to move my notes slightly because I couldn't see the time to commercial break. So Clout Score, I'm really looking forward to hearing about Clout Score because it's a buzzword that's being used quite regularly. And I must admit, when I tried to look into Clout Score, I couldn't find much about it. Couldn't understand whether I had to sign up for it or...
Yeah, you want to register with them. It's a good idea. And they look particularly what you're doing with Twitter and Facebook. Those are two. You're on Twitter?
Yeah.
And then you're on Facebook?
Yeah.
You can go into Clout. That's KLOUT.com, Clout, and then make sure you've registered with Clout and you've signed up. Use your Twitter address to connect. You'll need to give permission, and then it'll work between the two to make sure they're tied in together. And then it'll show you what your score is. They'll do an algorithm, and mathematically, not just by I like you or I don't like you or you looked at me goofy. They'll look at with numbers objectively, a little more objectively, of how you rank in influence in the areas where you want to be influential.
Wow.
And it's a score from 0 to 100. The higher the number, the better. To get to 100, well, very, very few people on the planet are there. If you're at a score of 50, you are doing well. You're in the top 5% of those on the planet right now, if you're at a score of 50 or above.
So I'm having somebody help me a little bit with my social media. Shortly, should a measure for them in terms of their effectiveness be the shift in my Clout Score?
I would put that as one of the factors that you want to see. Determine what your Clout Score is right now, determine what a reasonable increase would be, and what you need to do in order to get that increase.
All right, guys, we're coming back here.
Okay.
And Chris, you're not seeing the countdown?
No, I had some paper in the way, so I'm okay now, Chad. Thank you.
Yeah, if you want, we're at the 20 now. If you want to take it to 40, but on your cue to the next break. But here we go.
Stick with normal breaks. Oh,
Okay.
we're a little bit later. We've gone a bit longer.
Will do. Here we are.
Stick with normal.
More.com. Now, back to Chris Cooper.
Hi, it's Chris Cooper here again of BeMoreAchieveMore.com with my guest Terry Brock. And in the interval, we were talking about Clout Score. For those people who listen back and watch the video, you'll find out a little bit more about Clout. So I would suggest that you come and listen to the video. But just in a nutshell, do you want to just, for those people who are listening in, just quickly articulate Clout for them?
Yeah, Clout is a service that is available. It's spelled Klout at Klout.com, and Clout gives the ability to more objectively rate the amount of influence that a given person has over their area. So, for instance, let's suppose you're an expert in nuclear physics. They will then compare you to others that are in nuclear physics and what kind of influence you have over others. And it's a more objective way to look at it. You're rated on a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being the highest. And I think only one person in the world has hit 100, and that is Justin Bieber. So you'll be right up there with Justin Bieber if you get that 100, because so many young ladies, I think, are using Twitter and talking about him. So the idea is you want to get people talking about you. It's not just what you're saying. It's what others are saying about you and how influential you are when you're on there. If you have a Clout score of 50 or higher, then you're, what I've heard, you're in the upper 5%. And so you want to look at how you're doing, what's going on, and then look at several other people that you know and how they're factoring in. Now, don't get obsessed with Clout Score, though. That becomes another challenge. It'd be like a CEO becoming obsessed with the stock price at any given day or any given hour. And so focus on cultivating the relationships, the social media and the marketing, and really building quality relationships. If you focus on that, things like Clout Score will fall in line, and even more important, the bottom line of making money. When I went to business school, they told us that was rather important. I think they mentioned that in business school over in the UK as well. Is that right, Chris?
They do indeed, yes. Yes.
So making the money is important. All those other things are nice. But the fact is, many corporations now are looking at, should we bring this person in, particularly in personal services? And they're looking at what is the Clout score of this particular person. And not that that would be the only measure that they would have. One person might have a 20, another one might have a 40. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to bring in the 40, because there'll be many other factors there. But it is one means of measurement. It's an objective, quantifiable way to kind of track how you're doing.
So what's your view then of people who are, there'll be some people listening to this and thinking, crikey, I don't even use Facebook or Twitter. Maybe I need to do something with my LinkedIn. You're doing a bit of that. What do you think these people are missing out on by not investing the time and the energy?
Well, they're missing out on a lot on that, and I sure hope that those people are my competitors, because I don't want my competitors getting out on Twitter, on Facebook. No. They need to go back to radio and TV. Better yet, get a manual typewriter. Yeah, that's it. For all my competitors out there, get rid of your computers, go back to a manual typewriter, and only use radio. Yes, it's the 1920s. No, but if you're using Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, this is the way that things happen. Matter of fact, just this morning I wrote an article on my blog over at terrybrock.com about how to get 3 keys to get started with social media, what you need to look at. Realize from a business point of view, this is way beyond just, oh gee, my cat is sleeping. When I go out and speak to a lot of organizations, to their associations, some of them will say, oh, come on, I'm in business. I don't have time for Twitter. And that'd be like saying, well, I'm in business. I don't have time to do radio, television, newspaper, or any other kind of marketing or advertising. Well, you need to do it. And that's where the world is today. So a good way to get started is to just get an account with Twitter and begin following people. If you get a Twitter account, nothing's going to happen. You're going to sit there and go, okay, what's the big deal? Nothing's going on, because you don't have anyone that you're following and no one is following you. That's the term they use in Twitter. What you'll want to do is go out and find the people that you respect, that you know, and you'll follow what they are doing on Twitter. For instance, you might have an author, or there might be a television star or a movie star or someone that is very important in your field that you particularly admire. See if that person's out on Twitter. Find out what their Twitter handle is. That's like the name you use on Twitter. Find their Twitter handle and then follow them. Over on Facebook, we call it friends. And so you want to friend someone. You want to become friends with people. Think of your real life friends, those that are IRL, in real life, your friends, and get to know them. And then get a chance to follow them, see what it's like. Find out about businesses that are there. And then over on LinkedIn, the same type of thing. Now, it can feel overwhelming at first because you're thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to do all this? I don't have time for this. I've got work to do. Yeah, that's true. You got work to do. But this is where we're networking today. This is where the world is. If you have to market, and I think all of us do, in one way or another, even if you say, well, I'm not in marketing, I'm a scientist. Oh, let's see what happens when you lose your job and you need to get another job. You need to be the one that's networking and connected with other people. And the way we do that today is social media. So get your toe in the water, splash around a little bit, get to know it in a slow way, and then get instruction. There are lots of places on the net where you can go out and get help. Typing in information, going on YouTube and typing in how to use Twitter, or how do I use Facebook, or how do I make a page in Facebook. Things like that you would type into YouTube, and you'll see a wonderful panoply, I love that word, panoply, of all kinds of options that are available and training that will help you on that.
I think you make a really great point in terms of the importance of going out and doing this thing. And I'm thinking particularly, I meet a lot of executives in organizations who don't bother putting a LinkedIn profile, don't bother understanding Facebook or Twitter, because they're so busy doing their own jobs. And then there comes a point in time when they go in the office one day and 20% of the staff have been made redundant and they're one of them. And suddenly they then don't have the connections. They've got to start to build it up. And actually, if they'd done it throughout their careers, they could have enormous, high quality LinkedIn. They could have all of their connections from the past. Opportunities could be very forthcoming.
Absolutely.
People are very short-sighted in not doing that.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's the entrepreneur who really needs to be doing it. Certainly, if they're a sole, business owner these days.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Chris. It's one of those things, it's like the old Arab proverb, dig your well before you're thirsty. Don't start networking for your next job when you have been declared redundant, or as we say in the U.S., as you've been laid off. And a lot of people are getting laid off. Matter of fact, the government over here is even doing some clever things. They don't call it laid off. They just say, oh, well, we're not going to count them. And then they can say, see, we have a lower amount of unemployment. And the actual unemployment right now is somewhere around 10.8%, even though the government is telling us it's only 8.2. And so they finagle with it. But the key is you want to keep your network alive. Keep people close to you. What was it they said in The Godfather? Keep your friends close to you and your enemies even closer. Social media gives you the ability to keep close to all these folks and see what's happening in their life, what's going on, where they're going, what they're doing. And and by the way, a really good tool, if I can, is it all right if I share some kind of an inside secret for making money? When you're working in Twitter, let's say you're an entrepreneur. I'll give you an example. I was working with some contractors, engineers, contractors that are always looking for business, and they want to know, why should I use Twitter? And I said a good way to use it is monitoring what's going on, but doing a search. You can go to search.twitter.com, or you can just do it right in Twitter, and type in keywords that are going to be important in your field. For instance, in their field, they were doing construction, and they were interested in construction projects that would be in a local area. So let's say you're in Chicago. You might put on there something like new construction Chicago, or new building downtown Chicago. A whole bunch of words like that would be relevant in their industry and construction. And then they're going to see tweets that come up that people have talked about. We're building something. Does anyone know any good contractors? Anyone know any good engineers to help for building in Chicago? And so those are the target market. Those are the people you want. If you're a dentist, and people are saying, anyone know how to help a tooth that's hurting, or a roller, a molar that's in trouble, or does someone know a good dentist on the south side of town? You want to find those if you're a dentist that's in that town, and you want to be able to respond right back with, I'm a dentist here in town. Matter of fact, one thing you can do is, over on my website, there's some help on how to find help and relieve that. Rather than just jumping out and say, yes, we can set up an appointment for you, give them assistance. Give them help, direct them to a website where you might have a video that explains, and then of course in the video it invites people to come into your office. So Twitter is a great tool for listening and finding out what's going on in the marketplace.
Fantastic. That's been very helpful to me personally listening to that. I'm going to look at it in a different way and try that and report how I get on. So we've got a couple of minutes before we go into commercial break, but I just wanted to ask you, because I read on one of your blogs about 7 points that you had for sort of being productive with your social media relationship marketing work, and I just thought you might want to share those, and maybe we can talk about them after the break.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's on my website, and if you go to terrybrock.com, the post is called 7 Steps for Time Management in this crazy social media world. Chris, a lot of times I'm hearing from my clients, and when I'm speaking, doing conferences, people are saying, Terry, okay, I get it, we need to do something with social media, but I don't have time. I'm running at 36 hours a day right now just doing my job, and now you're telling me I need to spend time doing this too? I say, well, here's what you can do. And I've got these 7 points. Let me go through at least a few of these right here. You can say, number 1, establish who you are and what it is that you want to do. What is it you want to try to do? Now, that means we're stepping back. We're doing it from a Peter Drucker point of view. I love Peter Drucker and considered him one of my buddies. Even though I never met him, just by reading his books, I learned so much about management. And he says the biggest part is to define what the problem is. And so what we have to do is we have to decide, what is it that I want to do in my job? Forget social media for a moment. Just look at what it is you want to do. Then once you've done that, number 2 is you want to develop a strategy for your business and your business plan. So in other words, how am I going to reach people? Well, today, the strategy and the tools is social media. Just like if we were in business, say back in the 50s or the 60s, we would probably use some form of television, radio, newspaper, flyers, billboards, something like that. Those still work today, but they're nowhere near as cost effective or as business generating effective as social media. And then number 3, really get good at first and then expand. Get good at social media. Get really proficient. And working with the tools is going to be very, very important. Number 4, have a presence on the platform.
Terry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Terry, we're going to go to commercial break now.
Yes.
And then we'll continue with these after the break. And do come back, because Terry's going to share during this some really good tools that we should all be looking at and using. That some of them even free on the internet. So we shall be back very shortly after the commercial break.
You bet.
Thank you, Terry.
Excellent. Quick 1-minute break and right back to it.
Very good. Audio still coming in fine?
Audio's coming in good. How's it for you?
Sounded good. There's a little bit of a sync problem. I don't know how this will come out with the recording, but your lips and syncing is just a little bit off on that, so you'll see that. But that's part of video right now.
Yes. Yes. Is there a reason why it's not a problem with you? I can see you quite clearly, actually, in terms of the lip sync. Is there any particular reason?
It might be on the upload. It might be the bandwidth. Your bandwidth it seems to be pretty good. Are you using an Ethernet or Wi-Fi right now?
I'm using Ethernet.
Okay, Ethernet is better. That's what I'm using also, making sure it's securely plugged in, and I may even make sure my airport is turned off. So
yes, mine's
it's working through. But we're getting a little bit of, and it might be Skype itself. I know. Stick your head out the window and tell everybody in the UK to get off the computer right now.
If I wasn't in the middle of the countryside, I might do it.
There you go.
There's no one else here to talk to. Good stuff.
All right, we can come back in 10 seconds here.
Okay.
Stand by.
On Voice America Business.
Voice America Business Network. The bottom line in business.
You are tuned in to Be More, Achieve More with your host, Chris Cooper. If you have a question or comment about our show, please direct your emails to info@bemoreachievemore.com. That's info@bemoreachievemore.com. Now, back to Chris Cooper.
Hi, this is Chris Cooper with Terry Brock. And before the break, Terry was sharing with us some key steps that we should think about when it comes to relationship marketing and doing it productively. And I think he was talking about getting really good in one first and then expanding, I think was the last thing that he said. So maybe you want to expand a little bit on that and just talk about the key platforms that we need to get good at, and probably, where should the starting point be, Terry?
Yeah, that's going to depend on the industry and where you are. For some, you might want to just get started on Twitter. So you're gradually building there. You're getting the ability to follow a lot of people and letting them follow you. And the way you'll do that is you send out tweets, those 140 characters or less of information, and make sure it's packed with a lot of value. It would be good to take a small course on it. And you can do those online. There's a lot of those available, or a local college might have something, a university might, or even better, this is why God invented high school kids. So secondary kids, I think you would call them. So you get those folks to come in and they can show you what's going on, how to do it, and start building from there. If, on the other hand, you're in a very visual media, like for instance, let's suppose you had a bridal shop. Pictures and video are going to be very important. YouTube would be where you want to position a lot there. That's important. And also a new, if you're in the bridal industry, Pinterest. It would be very important. Like Pinterest, but it's pronounced Pinterest, is a site, Pinterest.com, that is growing by leaps and bounds over in just the last few months. It tends to be largely about 85% women. But that's a good place to be if that is your target market and you're going to be there, getting to know folks. So I think those are going to be important. And then use the right tools to streamline what you're doing. For instance, in working with social media, a great tool is Hootsuite. Hootsuite. It gives you the ability to monitor what's happening with your social media presence, with Twitter, with Facebook, with LinkedIn, and in their paid version, which is I think $6 a month, you can do a lot. And with the current exchange rate, that's probably like only a couple of P, for you.
A day, maybe. Yeah, no, it's probably about £4, I would think.
Yeah, it'd be very easy. So those give you the ability to monitor that and follow what's going along there. Another good tool is called Tweet Chat. I love Tweet Chat. It gives you the ability to follow what's called a hashtag. The hashtag, how you use the hash sign? We call it the pound sign here in the States. You call it the hash sign. If you have a particular group, I'm, for instance, a member of the National Speakers Association, and if you use the hash sign and NSA12, that's for the National Speakers Association this year, you would be able to then see all the tweets that are related to that. People will put that in as part of their tweet they send out. Then, as people comment about something that's related to the National Speakers Association, you can see all of it. That's another great way to do research. So, for instance, let's say you're calling on a bank. And this bank is a potential customer of yours. You want to see them, you want to talk with them. And if they're ABC Bank, they might have a hashtag of #ABC. Find out what it is for that particular client, and then you can see what others are saying about them, what they are saying about them, etc. Very, very important.
Oh, wow, that's great to learn about. And I guess, I don't know if you remember the conference we were at, Terry, where you were speaking, there was an interesting thing happened because somebody put a hashtag, and the hotel was probably okay to say, it was Hilton, and basically they hadn't got soaps in their rooms, and the hotel didn't have soaps in their rooms, so they put #Hilton, run out of soap. And I believe this message was picked up by somebody in the United States, because this was in England. The following day, somebody turned up with a basket of soaps at their door.
Exactly. They said they put a whole cruise liner together and shipped them across the ocean with soap, just so they could have some soap over there. But you're right. You see, what happened is, and it was I remember that very clearly. They didn't have soap, and there were a few other problems from that Coventry Hilton Hotel. So if you ever go to the Coventry Hilton Hotel, know that we had all kinds of problems. Did I mention it was the Coventry Hilton Hotel, Chris?
However, we have to say they did put them right very quickly.
They finally got those there, but there was other things too. Anyway, but you see what happens is today, this is a good example of social media. When we really get irritated with some company, we can let the world know very quickly through social media. And by the way, the world can let their world know when they're irritated with you and your business. And I'm saying that to our listeners out there. So just be aware, we're in a much more transparent world now. This is what social media is all about. And let me cover another couple of things here. Make sure that you face reality. That's my 7th point. Go over to my website and you'll see the full list there. But facing reality is you can't sit back, cross your arms and go, well, I don't have time for social media, therefore it doesn't matter. Well, fine. I'm hoping that my competitors are saying that and they're not getting involved with it and that they're using something other than social media. They say, well, I'll just contact them directly. That's what you're doing in social media. You're contacting them and sending them a note in the way they do. Now, yes, we still need those physical meetings. Physically getting together with someone. I love the way my buddy Corbin Ball says it, that you still can't share a virtual beer. You'd still gain a lot from just being there at the pub, having a few pints with your mates and getting a chance to break some bread with them, have some good fish and chips and mushy peas. There's nothing that takes the place of sitting down and seeing people directly. However, we can't do that with everyone because we're much more global right now, but we can use this electronic means of getting in touch with people and have a lot of fun and increase business that way.
Yes, and I guess also, they say that people have a kind of convincer strategy and they have to see so many impressions of you before they're convinced. And through social media, there is the opportunity to keep having regular touch points with people in a number of different ways, which can ultimately raise your credibility.
Yes, that's right. And that's where you want to be known as a person who gives a lot of information. You do not want to go on social media and just put out, hi, I'm wonderful. We've got a sale on widgets at our store. Hi, we're great. Come over and get our blue widgets. They're on sale. If all you're doing is promoting yourself, people are going to get a certain impression about you that you might not want. What you want to do is give valuable information. For instance, if you're in a clothing store and you're selling clothes, you might say the new fashion is in, and did you know that such and such pants are in style this season? Or we hear that dresses of this color are really coming back in style. You want to be the resource. Now, you give them information that your target market, the people that are your wonderful customers, are looking for. And they're looking for this valuable information. And then once you've given that to them, you can put something about your store. We use a compressed URL. You can use little tools like Hootsuite and others that take, of course, how some of those URLs will be like this. Those of you that are watching this on video, notice it's off the screen right now. It's way out there. Well, you can compress them down with a URL shortener. And that way you can say, style, pants are back in style, and the color this season is blue. Make sure you get blue ones. We have a test that you can use free at our store, and then you have your little compressed hashtag, or not hashtag. You have your compressed URL, and then people can click on that and go to your store. They go to your website, and they're able to get a lot more information that way with rich media, audio, with video. You can interact with them a whole lot more that way.
So we're talking there something like Bitly, are we, with the URL shortener?
Yes, like Bitly or Owly or Tiny URL. There's many of them out there. Hootsuite uses Owly, which is very good because not only does it compress, but it also gives you the ability to track it. So you can find how many people responded to this particular tweet versus that tweet. So a marketer that's really smart can very quickly and inexpensively, key term, inexpensively go out there and find, gee, when I talked about blue as being the style, I got this number of tweet responses, this many people clicked through, but when I talked about red, look, this many more came through. You can track it quantitatively, and it's no longer subject to, well, my gut feeling is that we're going to do such and such. Well, your gut's nice, but I'd rather have the real numbers and find out what's going on.
And how, I'm also interested how effective some of these tools are. Take something like pingler.com. When you're doing a blog, pinging it out to other kind of posts and sites and whatever. How effective are that? And how much more of a coverage could it give that blog, for example, by doing that?
They can do a lot. I think the tools like that, like Pingler, Ping FM, gives you the ability to get out on a lot. It takes a little bit of work to set it up initially. So you'll spend 30 minutes to an hour or so registering, getting accounts at all the various places, and then you can send it out in a mass style. Be aware, though, that mass sounds good when I'm saying, okay, I want to take my message and send it out. Be aware, I do want to also be the recipient of a lot of mass mail that's coming from others. Oh, I don't know about that, is what people will say. Well, wait a minute, how do you think the people that you're sending it to feel? So here's what you've got to do. Whatever you do, if you're sending it out through Ping FM, Pingler, sites like that, make sure that everything you're sending out there is highly relevant and compelling. Don't make it about you. just how wonderful you are and that you're moving or you're doing this or you're standing in line to get a hamburger, we really don't care. But if you can say, I'm standing in line to get a hamburger over here and they're on 50% off today until 3 o'clock. Oh, now that might be irrelevant to me. That might be very relevant to me. And so I want to find out what's there. But always target your people that are the buyers, the ultimate buyers. What is it that really flips their cookies? What is it that makes them happy, makes them jump up and down with glee? And that's how you want to use social media. It's really marketing.
And how do you feel with blogging, for example? Often you can blog and not get any comments back. Is it still good to keep putting it out there? Because I know a lot of people who get disillusioned with that.
Oh, yeah. I would say that's a good way to find out. It'd be the same as putting out buying 100 bazillion quid of television advertising, and that's an exact number there, 100 bazillion quid that you'd spend on TV advertising, but you're not getting any response. It means, hey, something's wrong with your TV ad. You got to change it. And so maybe you're not blogging about what people really are interested in. So, you know, I'm sorry, but that's just the reality of it.
Yeah, great. We're going to go to commercial break again, and we'll be back again with you shortly.
And a quick minute break.
Very
Perfect.
good.
Fantastic. So what are the key things we need to talk about after the break? You've got a few bits of technology. Do you want to talk about the iPhone or anything like that? Do you want to show anything?
Yeah, I can talk about iPhones and cameras. I've got my little camera here.
Great.
And some of the things that are available. We can talk about technology. We only have 4 more hours, right?
Yeah. Well, we can always come back again at another time. But we can. We've got probably a shorter next section. We probably got something like about 7 minutes or 8 minutes or something like that.
Sure. One of the key things that people talk a lot about is CRM, customer relationship management.
Yeah.
And they're wondering which software package should I get. I get that question a lot, and I've got some strong feelings on that based on what I've done at Skype and at AT&T, and I can share that.
Well, that would be great, because I've just started using Oprius after your recommendation.
Oh, what do you think of it so far?
I'm thinking that I could do with more time to work with it. I did work with it for 2 or 3 hours, and then been so busy, I'm getting close to my month. But I think it's interesting. I need it to be able to do a few more things for me, though, which I'm not quite sure whether it's just like being able to access it just off the screen, off the computer, rather than going into the cloud. So I just need, and I'm not quite sure about the connection with my calendar and the email system in it. And I think I've got a bit more work to do with it. But it looks good. I mean, it does look good.
Yeah, I'm using it as my main
here?
email system. And so I'm able to use that, and it works out very nicely. The thing I like most about it is I can go back and I go, oh, I've got to get in touch with John
Terry,
Smith.
stand by just a moment. We're coming back here.
info@bemoreachievemore.com. That's info@bemoreachievemore.com. Now, back to Chris Cooper.
Hi there, back Chris Cooper with Terry and what Terry Brock and I were talking about in the break, and I think would be really useful to share, is some tools and gadgets and systems that really help us be more productive when we're doing this. And we started talking about CRM systems, and certainly I've taken some advice from Terry of late that I'm starting to work with. So Terry, what are your views on what's out there to really help people with relationship management that you find particularly effective and wouldn't be without?
Using a tool to stay in touch with people and remember important details about them is vital. Years ago, we would use software on our computer like Act, like Goldmine, like Sharkware. Great tools, and they did a very good job for that on the computer. But today, it's different. Now we don't think in terms of Windows versus Mac versus something else. What we need to think of today is cloud. It needs to be cloud-based. In other words, based somewhere on the internet. And there are a lot of tools that way. And because when you think about it, in the past, if you had all your information on your computer, you had to constantly update it. You had to get the new version, and we'd beat ourselves up going, oh, gee, I've got the old version, I'm going to have to upgrade, or I got a virus, or whatever. Or if your computer crashes, then you're going, oh, gee, I should have had it backed up. Well, by using the cloud, it's always backed up. and you've always got the latest version. And it's secure because they make sure that it is with the best security possible. And so you're going to be able to use that in the cloud. One of the services I'm using that I encourage you, and Chris, you and I during break, we were talking about using Oprius is one that I'm using now. It's kind of like Act. It's very simple. And it costs, I think it's $25 a month. So it's very simple, pretty inexpensive, that most, even small businesses would be able to afford it. It gives you the ability to keep track of people and their email. One of the ways that it helps me most, it really sparkles, is when I'm thinking, oh, gee, I need to get in touch with John Smith. And when I talked to him about 4 months ago, but what was that email about? I go into a search on John Smith within Oprius, and Oprius then shows me all the emails that I have sent to him and he has sent to me. In addition to any notes that I've put in there, like John went to Westgate High School and graduated, and this year his wife is married and they have 3 kids named Billy, John, and Sally, etc. All that information can be stored in Oprius for contacts, and it ties in with your email. And it's all online, so that means I can access it from my main computer, from another computer, from my iPad, whatever device I'm using. I could even use a friend's device with my account name and my password, and I would be able to get in there.
Fantastic. I think what you've done there actually is you've convinced me to go the what we was probably saying in the United Kingdom is go the full hog and actually be brave enough to transfer everything over to it. So yes. I've had a look at it. It looks great, but I felt nervous about moving my email into it, moving my calendar into it. But I think what you've just done there is help me understand why, the benefit of this system when you pull everything together.
Yeah, it'd be good. And here's what I would recommend from a strategic point of view. Run parallel systems initially. That's a good way to do it in the military. When they're moving over to a new technology or something, they keep the old that they know works. It's tried and true. And you're going to have to work a little extra because you're going to do both. You got to try the new one and the old one for a short time. So keep what you've got right now, but transfer it in there, get everything working on Oprius, and then start using Oprius as much as possible, but use the other only when you have to. Eventually, the old will go away. You'll shed it. It'll be gone. It'll be out of the way, and you'll embrace the new. And that's really the best way to do it. I'm now using Oprius, and I just press a button on my iPad. I got here in my office my little iPad, and I can put all my contacts that are on Oprius. As soon as I put them in there, I can put them right down here on this, and I've got them. I put them on my smartphone. I can also access it through my Windows. Actually, use one of those Windows thingies, not the real, or I do it on my real computer, the MacBook Pro. So I can do it either way, and it works out just right.
Brilliant. I think that's just been very, very helpful. I shall be look forward to talking more with you about that as I completely move across, because I think it looks great. Something else I want to mention that I took away with from listening to you, Terry, at that conference last year was Evernote. I love Evernote.
Yes. Evernote I use extensively. Matter of fact, I'm here in my office right now. Let's say I had some paper. What I do is, here's an example. I was making some notes. You can see there's a little mind map here that I was on the phone talking with someone. I did a mind map of it. What I will do is I'll take this and I scan it. I've got a little scanner. I pop it in there, hit a button, and it puts it in there in a matter of about 3 seconds. Now it's scanned. It's on my computer. I give it a name, I rename it, it scans it in under the date and time, and then I give it a different name, like it's a conversation with Mary Smith on such and such date. Then I print it to Evernote. And by using the print command, on my Mac it's Command P, I select Evernote, and then it goes into Evernote in the cloud. And so now it's stored there with the name of Mary Smith and the date. So if I go, what was the conversation I had with Mary Smith, and I forget the date when it was, I can just type in Mary Smith within Evernote, and it'll pull up that scanned document.
And the wonderful thing with that is, and the other systems that you mentioned being in the cloud, is if you do like I did a year ago and spill water on your laptop, you don't lose everything. You can access it again. Yep. And keep on operating with it. Yep. I used Evernote. Had the permission of a speaker to do it, but I was at a small evening event, and at that event, I typed up my notes on my laptop in Evernote. At the same time, I actually recorded his speech using the record facility on it, and I met a number of people that evening, and I just simply, using my Mac, just scanned in their business cards, by taking a photograph of them straight into Evernote.
Yep.
I thought that was really cool.
That is an excellent way to do it, because you've got their card, you've got everything related to that evening, pictures that you might take. You can put them up there as well, so you can remember the people, you remember the event, who was there, and it creates a whole experience for then follow-up for marketing later to say, hey, Bob, it was great to see you at the event last Tuesday. Here's a picture, some pictures of the event, and here's a note from the speaker, things like that.
Fantastic. We've got a minute. I just wonder if you've got anything that you wanted to say, just to summarize any final messages that you want to give around relationship marketing.
Relationship marketing is really the key. It has always been, and it always will be. That's what I talk about in my website. Bounce over there and you'll see some information on that. We've got a lot of free videos and free information at terrybrock.com, at TerryBrock, terrybrock.com. And I would say cultivate relationships. Use all these tools, use everything in order to help people more. That's the key. What matters is not the technology. It's not about the e-commerce. It's about the RCommerce, the relationships, and being with people is what matters most. Chris, it is great to be with you. Thank you so much. What an honor to be here.
You're so welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I wish we had more time today because it's absolutely fascinating. That's terrybrock.com. Do subscribe to the Be More Achieve More newsletter on bemoreachievemore.com, because what I do is I share sort of nuggets from the shows, and I share what's coming up as well. And also I'll let you know how you can get access to this video with Terry and I talking about this. But Terry, thank you so much. I just want to also just move on and mention the show next week. I'm delighted we're also pushing the technological boundaries. We've got both Jeff Ram and Michael Jackson, who are real great international speakers, talking about change. Now, Michael has done over 1,000 speeches on change, talking right the way up to heads of state. He's known as a national treasure in South Africa, so that'll be a really fabulous show as well. But thanks again, Terry. Wish you well, and we shall no doubt have you back on the show again, I think, after that.
Thank you, Chris. Great to be with you.
Likewise. Take care.
We thank you for listening to Be More.
Perfect. Nicely done. Good show.
Great. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.